Alrighty-o. We're going to continue where we left off. It's been a couple of weeks. I've been struggling with loading things onto YouTube, getting copyright strikes, figuring out how to undo these copyright strikes. What you're listening to in the background is my father playing. He was a violin professor for many years, and these are private recordings that he made before he passed. He passed away about 8 years ago. These are recordings he did with some friends of his, private recordings that were done in our home, and they keep getting copyright struck because according to YouTube's auto algorithm, this music is owned by somebody else. And despite the fact that this is classical music, a lot of it was written 1.5 to 2 centuries ago. The composers are all dead because somebody recorded them themselves, and they own those recordings. Therefore, they own my father's recordings, which I think is bupkis. Bupkis, I say. I don't know what I'm doing. It's been a couple of weeks since I played. We're hauling a log for no reason. So anyway, I'm trying to work out how to avoid copyright strikes on music that my father made and is very definitely not the copyright holder's property that they keep trying to claim is theirs. We are in the springtime. Oh, we're in the summer. Dog is ready to leave the kennel. Very good, very good. We have some dogs. Ira and Hrongyori. Hongeroy, and Agonaze. Yay! We're gonna keep going. Let's see who we've got being summoned. Someone. Like I said, it's been a couple weeks. I've had 1 viewer so far. Yay! I'm on the road to nowhere. Struggled to get this house built. I think we're pretty close to getting at least the outside's done. We're gonna get the insides done. It's looking groovy. We're getting people in here. We need more supplies. Let's get those done. Sometimes you get doors on these. I don't know why. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't. Small hearth, wood, food shelf. People like having stuff in their house. You know, right? What do you like having stuff for? It'll just burn down when I set it all on fire. Right? That's our goal. Set things on fire. Oh, is there somebody in there? No. We're pooping! Anyway. So, YouTube, you do not own my father's music, and stop trying to give it to somebody else. Jerks. Okay, let's go get those logs. We're gonna need hardwood. Got a lot of hardwood over here. More and more hardwood, more and more hardwood, and the people can't keep up with the demand. Which is unfortunate, but not unexpected. We are better than the people. Don't need the logs. We need log sticks. Yeah, baby. Should get my cart. I don't know where it is. I leave stuff lying around. What's wrong with me? I've had quite an adventure the last couple of weeks. Hello, Hack On. Like being up at sunrise, eh? Yeah, we have workstation, so he's a builder. So you start out as a builder. You are homeless. Come on, guy. You want morning shift because you are sunrise vigilant, harvest blessing, winter resilient. We're gonna go ahead and put you in a house. Workstation housing. Can't put him in there. Can't put him in anywhere. He gets to be homeless. It's his fault for moving in. Suck, bro. Ugh, come on. I want that space. Give me that space, you dumb worker. Here's our cart. Ugh. I don't want to mount. There we go. Deposit. Fly. Oh. He's done. I usually become a really good carpenter because it's just it takes too long, man. Grab our cart. Pick up all that hard wood. This time I put the music on repeat, so we're not gonna have to run out of music halfway through the video. It's gonna go on until the cows come home. We don't want that. We don't want cows here. Logs. You pieces of crap. Logs. I don't want stinking logs. Yeah. To my one viewer that has been watching this series, hello. We, Mr. Viewer, and I are having fun today. Doing crap. Talking about being copyright struck. I took a class on copyright. I was a film minor. I wanted to make a bunch of like science fiction stuff and groovy things, you know? But it turns out that really and truly what I wanted to do was make video games. But I wanted to be a writer. I don't want to be like a programmer. And it turns out that if you want to make video games, you have to be a programmer. They don't hire writers. None of the teams hire writers. It's like dumb. Oh man, I'm gonna go into some explanation because I went to Brigham Young University, and at that university where I went, I was a film minor, and like I said, I wanted to write for video games. It would have been really gloriously fun. So I took a bunch of new media classes. That's what they were called because the school wouldn't allow them to call them video game classes. Because they were like, yeah, we're gonna get in trouble if we call these video game classes. So we called them new media, which works, I guess. You know, where's our sticks? We have too many sticks. I'm gonna dump them on the floor. Here, have a bunch of sticks floor. Threw it on the ground. My dad is not a cell phone. We can hire more people. Let's do it, even though they're gonna be homeless. They deserve it. Ugh, screw you, homeless people. I gotta summon you today. So, I took issues in new media because they couldn't call them video game classes because, you know, BYU is a really conservative school and they're not going to allow you to make a class called the video game class. So it was the new media class. And we talked about video games. We talked about how people have made them traditionally over the years, the psychology of video gaming, the psychology of what people enjoy in gaming. Like, really interesting stuff. So let's go back, like way back. Let's go back to 1880 when we were starting to make film for the first time. We had photography, but we have the Muybridge films. If you know anything about Muybridge, he strapped a bunch of cables on the ground, and then as people would walk across and break the cables, like he did this with horses and stuff, as people would trigger the cables, it would set off a different camera. So he would set up like 30 or 40 cameras or something like that. And then they would trip the tripwires on the cameras, and each of them take a picture. And then when you played them back, you would get a movie. And that was the first movie ever. Muybridge was making these. There was like a French artist that was making basically like animation with puppetry, and he beats Muybridge by a few years. But that's not really the same. Like puppetry and basically animation is what he was making. Although that's not something that was in the lexicon at the time. So Muybridge is generally considered to be the father of film. He predates the Lumiere brothers by a few years. The Lumiere brothers, of course, they're like the pioneers of the motion picture camera. And you have such important films like Workers Leaving a Factory, which was workers leaving the Lumiere brothers' own factory. So it wasn't just a random Factory X. And that movie contains the first piece of directing ever. So it's not just the first movie made by an actual film camera, because it was, you know, not a series of tripwires and a bunch of cameras. It was a single camera pulling film stock through the camera to make a moving picture. And that was the Lumiere brothers. The people leaving leaving the factory were not looking at the camera. You know, there's this giant camera across the street. This thing was like, 8 feet tall because it was this big immovable object that they had to use in order to. Oh, you know what? This guy needs access to the what's his name? Bjorn. Bjorn needs access to the raw meat. Got some raw meat on the ground. That's gonna be good. But we need to give Bjorn access to this, because he needs to be able to not looking for assigned workers. He needs to be able to feed the dogs. Hakon's still homeless, but he's probably not homeless anymore. We'll check on him. And it's a kennel, so it should be in K. We're adding him. And he needs to be able to feed the dogs, so he needs access to the meat. I wonder if they built the... Oh boy, there's so much that needs to be built. So much that needs to be built. I wonder if Hakon can get a place to sleep yet. They're building stuff. They're doing their jobs, kind of, sort of, you know. They're just slow. We haven't got time to wait for people, and they're not building these. They've got other stuff that they've got to build. That's unfortunate. We'll just keep hacking stuff. So Muybridge, first guy, Lumiere brothers, they make film. So as soon as film was a brand new medium, there was immediately, I'm not seeing my cart. That's a sled. There it is. As soon as movies were new, scholars began to examine movies. They began to look into, why are movies working? This new medium. Let's examine its effect on society and on people. And immediately there were scholarly journals being published about movies as soon as movies were new. And then shortly thereafter, shortly thereafter, 60 years later, there's a new medium, which is TV. And again, when TV was new, they began to, I don't want sticks here, full of sticks. as soon as TV was new, they did it again. They began scholarly journals. They began to examine what, like the effect of television on society, how people responded to it. You know, scholarly journals. You know, psychologists were looking into it. Various scholars, people that study art and literature for their whole lives, were examining this new medium of television. When video games were new, the very, very earliest video games in the 1960s, but those were, you know, things that people who were computer, the very, very earliest, I can't even call them computer programmers, computer scientists, people that were studying how to get ones and zeros to have meaning. Those were the guys that were developing the very first video games. They had card games, dice games, and things like that, and it was less we're trying to make video games, and it was more we're trying to discover what these computers can do. Should eat the raw meat off the ground. Let's see if there's any food available. Oh, nice. Yoink. Eat. Stealing from the people. They can starve. Who cares about them? Jerks. Working slow. Jerks do. I don't know. Ugh, there's something on there. Put your stuff away. We don't need logs. Is there a place for logs? Logs. Yes. And it's full. We have shot ourselves in the butt. But I didn't want to leave them just sitting there. They're logs, you know, they're useful. We'll just toss them to the side. Let people pick them up as they need them. Better here than over there. But the very first, like, video games for a general audience, things like Pong, where, you know, we put Pong in bowling alleys and stuff like that. And people played them in the 1970s. And then the real ones that started to take off, like Space Invaders and Pac-Man and stuff like that, Miss Pac-Man and all of these different... thanks, Blood Moon. Talking about video games. Get a Blood Moon. It's fitting. Playing a video game while talking video games. Let's go see where these guys are coming from. You puss bucket freaks, where are you? There you are. Hello. Nope, that's not something. These guys are higher. Broke your shield. I think breaking shields is pretty cool. Like, they can break your shield as you broke his too. You know. Smashed you in the face. Droggers. Hello, droggers. Like, they can break my shield. I'm not gonna let them. Too good for you! Somebody's fighting a Draugr. Who's fighting a Draugr? Why are they fighting a Draugr? Jane is fighting a Draugr. Crap. I don't want my people to die. I don't know, maybe they're gonna be good at fighting. Oh, he's an archer. Hello, archer. Oh, it's a hunter. Got a fen. Eating the people, fen. That's good. Very good. Droggers. I mean, not the Droggers. Where's the, right about here. They'll just spawn in. So, yes. Campfire. Freya. Bloomery. Can't be everywhere at once. Workshop. Oh gosh, come on. Don't lose my buildings. Don't lose my buildings. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was trying to avoid. Because when they blow up the building like that, everything inside it's gone now. Everything. We just lost all the stuff in here. Look at that. You start from 0, and everything in here is now destroyed completely. Just a few sticks on the ground, and that's it. Anything that was in our warehouse is gone. We have to start over. That is so terrible. Like, they can't be doing this in this game because it makes it... Oh my gosh, it makes it so impossible to keep your village. Like, one guy got past my defenses and destroyed days of work. And do you remember what was in here? It was all that coal and my stuff for the bloomeries. Any iron that may have been in there is gone. All gone. Forever. Because one guy got past my defenses. You can't... you can't be making a game like this, guys. Yeah, there's more guys. Where there's clearing. I know it's a survival game, but there's just some things that are just ridiculous. Oh, they're all dead. Blood moon fades. Like, if they destroyed the building and the things that were inside it fell to the floor and survived, that I could accept. But when they destroy a warehouse and everything is gone forever, that is not acceptable, because you lose... How much work did I lose? How much iron ore was gone? How much coal is gone? Forever. It's... Yeah, shouldn't do that, guys. I mean, it's in beta. Maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they want it that way. Maybe they want to just be brutal. Who knows? Got more stuff we need to do. We've got to get one of the guys in bed. There's no beds for him. Where's my house? It should be right around here. Can't see it. It's too dark. There it is. Video games. So the real video games. Remember the early 80s, late 70s, there was stuff like the Magnavox Imagination Machine, which came out. It was one of the very, very, very first video game playing machines. That's late 70s. In the case of the Magnavox Imagination Machine, what you would do is you'd have these like plastic things that you'd put on your screen on your TV, and then it would like show, like there would be dots going on a recording, and you would be able to make choices, and when you would make a choice, you would swap out the plastic thing on your screen, and you would see different dots, right? And I don't know if you'd call that a video game. It's really interesting if you're looking into the history of video gaming. It's kind of cool to learn about the Imagination Machine, Magnavox, which came out with that late 70s. I think that's what it was called. It's been a while since I've taken class. Anyway, so I don't know if you'd qualify that as a video game. It certainly feels like a video game. Like you are making choices and there are consequences to those choices, and you are you are able to control. There's our invasion. I can see it that way. You are able to control the narrative structure of the. You're making a story, I guess you could say. But there is some physical effort involved. Oh my gosh, there's so much food. Forager's pie. Ooh. Let's get to working, because our people ain't gonna do it. Tossed all that wood on the ground. When that warehouse gets finished, we'll have to put in all of the stuff back. Oh, there it is. Let's break down the skeleton. So dumb. Warehouse menu. Let's build another. What did I build? That's not what I want. Warehouse extension. We lost everything. I mean, we lost the extensions. We lost all the items in them. Oh, it's so awful. Like, we didn't fill that yet. We had a lot of space still available to put things in, but it's gone forever. So there wasn't a whole lot in there, but still, it's not fun to lose all your stuff, guys. For one guy that got through your defenses. I know I should have fences up, I should have more, but we're building stuff, you know? We still have housing that we need to solve here for so many of our people. Everything requires hardwood, more and more and more hardwood. It's tough. Anyway, back to video games. I keep getting distracted, but, you know, I'm trying to play a game here. Doing stuff. So when video games were brand new, nobody thought to themselves that they should make scholarly journals about it. Nobody looked into the psychology of playing Tetris. Nobody looked into the cultural impact of Pac-Man, despite the fact that Pac-Man was a huge cultural event. Like, there were people that they talked about Pac-Man mania, and I think there was like a Super Bowl or something like that where they acted out Pac-Man characters, like the ghosts and Pac-Man running around. Like, it was clever, it was interesting, and people didn't think to themselves, let's examine what this new cultural impact has on our people. No, they didn't care. They thought that video games were for children. They're toys for kids. And so there were no scholarly journals. The first scholarly journal for video games came out in like 1998. And video games by then were like 20 years old, 22 years old or something like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so the whole attitude toward video games as a creative medium was not something that people were interested in looking into or examining culturally and stuff like that for many years. And we still have a stigma against video games in our society. I know my parents used to hate video games when I was growing up. They thought that they were worthless, wastes of time. Like, it was okay for people to watch hours of television. It was okay for people to go to movies. It was okay for people to read romance novels or science fiction novels or something like that. But video games were right out. It's a waste of your time. And that attitude is changing because those people are gone. A lot of them. My mother's still alive, of course. No disparaging my mother. She is doing the best she can with the knowledge she has. My father, of course, has passed away. And as the new generation is growing up and getting older, the new generations, we're learning that the fears that people had about video games were unfounded. and that's really what's changing. It's the same thing that happened with movies. It's the same thing that happened with television. Same thing that happened with comic books. Every time there's a new medium, there's an immediate fear toward that new medium. People thought that not video games, people thought that movies were convincing people to murder their neighbors. They thought it was increasing violence and crime. The same thing happened when television. Like, people were watching TV and doing horrible things to each other, and none of that was true. And when people grew up watching movies and realized that they weren't becoming horrible murderers, they started realizing that movies and television are not bad things that are destroying society. The same thing is now happening to video games. It's just a newer medium, so it's taking longer for people to open sturdy bend. No, I can't. I was thinking I could put that in the bed there. So it's taking some time, but it is advancing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, do you need me to push you out of the way because you're stuck on something? Just holding that rock. What do you need? I'm exhausted. Okay, well, you can go to bed now. Here's bed. There you go. Go to bed. Very tired. Should go home now. That's why he was holding the rock. I'm sorry, buddy. You were doing your best. Is there a thing here, Dad? There is a thing here. So the history of video games has been very complicated in our society. And that's changing. But as we look into scholarly journals, like one of the journals we read in class was about the satisfaction of playing games. Like, what do people enjoy and what do they get enjoyment out of? So they literally take people off the street. They grab random people because that's how you conduct a study. You don't conduct a study by finding a bunch of gamers. You conduct a study by grabbing random people and conducting a random study. That's how psychology works. That's how we learn cultural impacts on things, psychological impact on things, blah, blah, blah. So they grabbed people and they had them play video games. And they asked them questions about what people get the most enjoyment out of. Like, when you were playing that video game, did you enjoy it? Yes or no? When you enjoy it, what did you enjoy most about it? And what they found was the number one aspect of video games that people find enjoyable is identification with the main character. When you can identify with the problems the main character is facing, the solutions that you're trying to come up with, and this doesn't always work, of course. You know, if I'm playing Tetris, who's the main character of Tetris? But for most modern gaming, of course, especially, you're going to have a protagonist. You're going to have a goal. You're going to have things you're trying to accomplish and do. And when you can identify with the protagonist, that is going to give you the most enjoyment of the gaming experience. And what they found was the best way to gain that identification with the main character, with the protagonist, which gives you the most enjoyment playing a game, is the story. You know, if the story is well written, then you'll get more satisfaction with playing the game. And what do video game companies not hire? They don't hire writers. We literally do not hire writers to make the video games we play despite that being the #1 best way for people to get enjoyment for the game. Like if you're playing a game like Genshin Impact, do you enjoy playing it because you like the character you're playing? Like if you're going to play, I don't know, a Yai Miko or Kinich or something. If you want to play that character, the aesthetic value of the character is important, but also the story. Like, who is this character? What is their motivation? Why do I want to play this character? Is very important. And video game companies don't hire writers. The way you get to be a writer for a video game company is you start out as a programmer. And that's changing. There are some companies that are changing that. So when I graduated with my degree and got a film minor, I went looking for, because I didn't want to get the film major. It's not really, I'm not trying to go into film, I'm trying to go into video games. And I took all the classes available for that. I started looking around to try and find writing jobs in video games, and they all told me the same thing. We don't hire writers. If you want to write for video games, go be a programmer and work your way up. And there's a second way, and that way is to create video game content, specifically make mods. So mod games and learn how to do programming through mods, and then present your modded stuff, and they'll hire you that way. Both of those are programming. They don't hire writers. And like I said, it's changing. There are some companies that are now hiring writers, but overwhelmingly they don't. And yet, that's what people want. That's what Joe Blow, who's playing a video game, wants their favorite character to be somebody they think is cool, or has a tragic story, or has an interesting character arc. You know, that's what they want to see. And we don't hire writers. So I got out of school and I couldn't find work. And it was just so frustrating. I spent years working in a hotel. And I was like, this sucks. I don't want to work in hotels the rest of my life. So I went back to school, got a degree in geology. That's why I'm a geologist now. And then when I got out of school with a degree in geology, my first job, right straight out of school, was writing. Because I have that combined background of both writing and geology, which is a science. People really jumped on that. They were like, you could write technical writing for our company. And so that's what I did for years. I did that for about 5 years. I was a writer, and I made good money. It's a good profession. A lot of people don't realize how much money writers make. When you're skilled and when you're competent as a writer, you can make so much money. We had a lady that we because the department I worked in couldn't get a chemistry writer. They were looking for somebody that could write the chemical patents that the company was making. Oh, I have 2 houses. That's good. That's good. We need more people. Far more people. Do we have iron in here? We do not. If we add any iron, it's gone. So, as a chemistry writer, they were paying her about $250,000 a year to write chemical patents for their company. And like, she had a chemistry background, but she also was a writer. So if you have writing experience, or if you have an English degree, or if you have writing credentials of some sort, and you get a technical experience or degree in addition to that, you can become an incredibly well-paid writer. It's a thing. I'm gonna switch this out because that's almost broken. There's no need to carry that around much anymore. It's gonna break. Let's put this away here. Getting used to the controls all over again. Alice, I like Alice. I want Alice to come out in Genshin Impact. I play a lot of Genshin Impact. Maybe I should make a Genshin Impact stream. I've been playing for 3 years. I started playing because my nephew was playing, and I just joined him. And then he plays with his friends now. He doesn't want to play with his uncle anymore. What do you need? Torches. You need torches. I wonder why torches aren't being made. Didn't I see just a minute ago a bunch of resin on the ground? Was that back here? That big pile of resin we're saving should be close to 1,000. Should be able to run all of our resin needs forever. Soon. So yeah, I have a minor in film, which I used to study video games. I wanted to be a video game writer. Yep, lots of reason. And there are sticks everywhere. We don't need more sticks. Well, I mean, I guess it's back at the main base. I'm not seeing any out here. Some deer out there. So yeah, I became a writer. I did that for years, and then the pandemic hit, and I lost my job because of the pandemic. And after the pandemic was over, the company I worked for hired a lawyer to do the writing for them and moved toward AI because they don't really need to hire a bunch of writers anymore when ChatGPT can do their work for them. There's no future for writing anymore. Writers like me are out of work. So I went to be a geologist. I went to do environmental science. What else can you do? Because I have a degree in geology, may as well go to what I can. Gone. Gee whiz. Wiped it out. Getting that. Need sticks. Sticky sticks! What's brown and sticky? A stick! Anyway, I didn't know about my life. First sapling. A first sapling sitting on the ground. Do I need rope to make, don't have any stuff for rope. Tools. Do I need rope for that? Yes, I do. Lots of rope. The needs of rope in this game is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've mentioned that 12 times. Let's grab that. And let's make a bunch of rope. The fact that you need 4 rope to make 1 torch is just bonkers. But the needs of how much rope you need in this game, it's a little excessive. Let's go put these away somewhere so that our dude can find them. Not here. This is full of shovel. There are torches all. What? Why do you need torches? There are torches everywhere. My dude, pick up a torch. There. Torches. Can't find any stuff on the ground, I understand. Let's go get thatch. We need tons of thatch. What is this? Draugr Bruiser. Didn't make it very far. Draugr Bruiser. Ugh, I'm getting hungry. I've only been recording for 14 minutes. No, not 14 minutes. I'm on the wrong screen. 45 minutes. I may take a break already just because I'm getting hungry. Oh, it's 5 p.m. That's why. Wasn't paying attention to the time when I started this recording. I can go on and on about the history of video games and stuff like that. I got a minor and took all the video game classes I could. Took film history, watched some really crazy, because, you know, it's required for your film minor. Watched some crazy, like, eclectic films from history, like LaRue. I think that's probably the most eclectic film I've ever seen in my entire life. LaRue is a 1917 French film. It's made in the middle of the First World War. The French government took over financing the film. While they were making the movie, the financier, the guy that was making this movie, was running out of money, and the French government felt that they needed to show the world that they were still able to create art, still able to make something, still able to function. Like, this war is not going to stop us, kind of a thing. So they bankrolled this filmmaker to finish his movie. And it's 6 hours long. It's this 6-hour dystopian movie about a guy living in a what's it called? He's living in a rail yard. So he's a railman. So his job is to direct the trains into different parts of the rail yard. Let's pick up these sticks off the ground. I don't want to deposit any of those. That's what we're doing. We need to continue looking for more Jotun blood. Pick a direction. Run in it. Find Jotun blood. Let's sleep first. See a tree explode in the background. I love that. It's cool. All of this gone. All of it. Gone. I understand we should make it heftier so that it survives being smashed by a guy with a sword. And, like, we need walls and we need a lot of stuff, but one thing at a time. 6-hour long movie. Like, back in the 19-teens, we didn't know how long people would sit in a theater and watch a movie. And operas were really long. So if you went to an opera, it was like an all-day affair. So if you go watch, like, Der Ring des Nibelungen, the Ring of the Nibelungs, or you know, it's got all that stuff in it. It's very, like, if you watch Der Ring des Nibelungen, it's like 6 hours long, and it's an all-day affair when you go to it. There's a guy here we can break apart. And it's got all these different acts in it. It's about the gods. It's about the Twilight of Gods, Ragnarok, and all that stuff. It's about a cursed ring that is made from the I don't know what to call them. The ladies of the river, the Nibelungs. They are water spirits, and their gold is stolen from them by a dwarf. And he fashions a ring out of their gold, and the ring falls into the hands of I don't remember. I think Odin is the one that gets it eventually. And it brings about his destruction because it's a cursed ring. Because the Nibelungs cursed it. And so all the things that happen to people in this grand epic start because this guy stole the gold from the Nibelungs. From the water spirits. So you've got this really long... Hello, Alice. Let's see if we can put her somewhere. You've got this really long story that is about gods and monsters and magic and curses and this huge epic that you're going to sit through. So when they started making movies, they would make short movies like 15 minutes long, and they would make long movies like 6 hours LaRue, because they didn't know if people were going to sit and watch a movie like an opera. Is it going to be an all-day thing? Or is it going to be a 15-minute thing and then you're done and you go home? And we eventually settled on about an hour and a half for the length of movies. And that has expanded and contracted over the years. An hour and 20 minutes sometimes is some movies you can go see, but people kind of feel cheated if it's shorter than that. The shortest feature movie I can think of would be like anime movies, like Sailor Moon S. Was it S or Super S? It's the Black Dream Hole. That is an hour long. But that's an addendum to a television show. So it's not really like if somebody watches that and expects to see a 2-hour long movie, you know, the fans of the show are going to be okay with it because it's something they're looking forward to anyway. And general audiences aren't going to watch that anyway, so they're not going to be disappointed if they go see an hour-long movie. So it's a bit different. But that's a feature-length film, and it's an hour long. But people are going to feel cheated if it's shorter than an hour and a half, really. And if it's longer than 2 hours, people are going to start feeling like it's dragging on. Like, you can get away with it for certain epics, like Lord of the Rings, maybe Harry Potter. I don't know if any Harry Potter movies were really long. I don't know. I didn't watch more than the first two. I read the first 2 books, and then I never read anything beyond that. I was disappointed that it was the same villain in both books. And then I asked somebody who had read more of them if they switch up the villains, and he's like, no, it's always Voldemort. And I'm like, well, that's boring. And I quit reading them, and then I quit watching the movies because I didn't want to spoil the books I never read, and then I never read the books. So for all I know, those were 3-hour-long movies. I don't know. But anyway, we will put up with certain epics being 3 hours long. Anything beyond 3 hours, you're really pushing it. Dune was like 5 hours long. Which is one of the reasons why it's considered a flawed epic or a flawed masterpiece, because the vision of the director was more than the film could handle. And so that's the 1984 version, of course. So you really can't sit people through more than 3 hours. They're not going to do it. You can try. Studios don't like it, of course, because that means less showings. You know, if we had the full-length director's cut edition of Lord of the Rings in theaters, the studios would have revolted. Because you have less showings per day. Because if you have a 3.5 hour long epic, 4 hour long epic, you know, I don't remember how long the special editions are. I think they're 4 hours long. That means you can only play it 6 times in a single room per day. And in fact, you can do it less than that because you need time between showings to clean the theater. So you can only show it 5 times a day per room. And how many rooms are you going to dedicate to Lord of the Rings? And, you know, studios would have revolted. They don't want to lose money on a really long film. Leonard or Rebna? I don't think it matters anymore at this point. Leonard, you are like cold guy. You're the cold, chill dude from Awesome. Let's put this rope away. We made it. Let's put it away so somebody can grab it, do something with it. Got those houses. We've got to deposit it. Who cares? Let's. I don't know, 5 more, but we need so much more. We need to fill those. We need to fill these here. We need to get this going. Because they can hunt food. There's the rabbits over there. We can start breeding rabbits from rabbit milk. It's a little odd that it's deer. Fens. We can get rabbit milk and stuff like that. So yeah, before that all was settled, movies like LaRue were 6 hours long. Before all of that was settled. It's just like crazy. Like when we think about it today. It's bonkers, man. 6 hours! And if you have a chance to watch that movie, and I don't know where you'd ever find it. Like, the BYU library has a copy. I don't even know where they got it. Probably on some obscure laser disc from the 1970s. You know? I don't think people are going around putting 6 hour long French World War I dystopian epics about a guy in a rail yard into like how many people are planning on putting that on Netflix. It's kind of it's a really sad story. He has a son, and the beginning of the film, it's silent, of course. 1917. There's no sound. We've added sound since, you know, of course, music. But there's no native sound to it. But he lives in the train yard. It's smoky. It's like this dystopian nightmare. Everything is machinery around him. Like, if you want to know how our ancestors were forced to live and why we changed society, go watch a movie like LaRue. You'll realize that the conditions that people were forced to live in were so awful that as soon as it became obvious the way people were forced to live, the wealthier classes were so disgusted with themselves in a lot of ways because, you know, they were hoarding wealth for themselves. That it began changing society itself because they began looking at the way people were forced to live and realizing this is terrible. This is awful. And LaRue is one of those. It's a dystopian nightmare. You can see why people like Karl Marx were popular back in those days because he was trying to say, this is horrible. These conditions are awful. Anyway, that's where he's living. Smoke-filled dystopian nightmare. And luckily we got beyond that as a civilization, but anyway, addendum. So there was no need for giant revolts. There was only needs for 40-hour work weeks and workplace safety and, you know, things we take for granted now. Were developed during those times to prevent people from having to live in abject horror. It was good. And we didn't need violent revolutions. We could do things by awareness and by policy changes and by government, which is pretty powerful. It's an incredible lesson to learn what people can do with the power of government to change the lives of everyone for the better. Anyway, back to LaRue. It's a story about a guy that he has a son. His son is like 4. His wife has passed away, and there's a train accident in the rail yard, and they must have crashed a real train to do this scene. It is insane. And he is going through the debris of this crashed train that's burning in the rail yard. And they find one survivor. It's a little girl. And she's about 4 years old. She's about the age of his son. And so he takes her home and begins raising her as his daughter. And he makes a mistake. The mistake is he never tells her who she is. He never tells her that she is not his daughter, that she is a little girl he found survived from a train. Brings the two together, and his son grows up with his sister. And by the time the kids are about 20-ish, so the guy has grown up, he's in his mid 40s, early 50s or something like that by this time. And his son has grown up into a man, and his daughter has grown up into a woman, and they have fallen in love with each other because they didn't have those early formative years where you build up a resistance to your family members, and they don't know exactly why they're falling in love with each other because they've never been told the truth. He should have told them the truth. The problem is he has also fallen in love with her. And so he's in love with this girl he helped raise. And his son is also in love with her. And they end up in a fight, the father and son, and he accidentally kills his son. And like the story keeps going. If you think that's over, it's 6 hours long. It's madness. It's a big, long, dystopian epic. A sad, tragic story of a guy that's victim of his own circumstances because he didn't tell his stepdaughter her origins. 1917 French film. Do not want to that. There we go. I guess we don't need any more Jotun blood for the time being. Food. That's not good. Somebody at the wheel. They're cooking again, but I think we have already told it to burn regular wood again. Don't want storage. Want that. I think we've told them to start burning wood again. Yeah, we had to because they won't burn coal. It's unfortunate. Dogs running around playing. Really love to see the dogs. We can bring dogs with us. We need our cart. So that's LaRue. I've seen a lot of other films. Of course, there are famous ones. Wild Strawberries, everybody knows that one. If you're a film student, you know it. Wild Strawberries is a story about a guy. Yeah, it's about a guy that was in love with his cousin when he was a child, but she ends up married to a guy. She falls in love with some dude and marries him. And so years later, he marries a nice woman. And years later, he is an old man. He's like 80 years old. And he's worried about the fact that he's dying. And he goes to visit his mother. And his mother is like 100 years old, which is Totally possible. And so he goes to visit his mother, and he goes on a road trip. And while he's going on the road trip, he has these memories of the time when his cousin used to pick wild strawberries. And it's a Swiss film or a Swedish film? Golly, I can't remember. It's a European film. Hello, Leonard. We're going to put you in... Huh. Oh, we're in Maine. Outpost. Housing. Putting you in there, Leonard. We're assigning him to the outpost. He is the first person there. We need, and I said this earlier, we need Thatch. I got distracted. So he's on a road trip, and he meets some young people, and they talk, and he shares experiences with them, and you know, they're at the beginning of their life, and he's at the end of his. And he has these dreams, like there's a dream of an empty cart in an empty street, and it's kind of like the fear of death that's taking him, you know, and the fact that he's old, he's dying, and yeah, wild strawberries. Babette's Feast, of course. Everybody knows that one, of course. That one's about the woman who lives in a village because she is fleeing a war, and so she goes to stay in like a fishing village. Just like a fishing village, and while she's there for several years, she gets to know the people, but they consider her an outsider. They never really connect with her. She's an outsider, she's someone else, blah blah blah. She's there for several years, but they never really accept her as one of their own. And after a period of time, the war ends, and she's able to reconnect with the family she left behind when she fled the war, and she gets her money back. So she has money. She's not like rich, but she has some money, and she takes the money that she has and she decides to throw a feast for the villagers who have taken care of her for years. And they have no idea what she's making. They like see her hauling in these crazy, strange ingredients into her home, and they're afraid that she's going to like poison them or something. And lucky for her, I guess you can say, although the results should have been obvious anyway, there is a man who's returning home from the war, and he is he's a villager. He's from the village, and he is returning home from the war, where he has seen the world and other things that exist, and he is not as sheltered as them. And he was like a captain or a general or something like that in the war, or a colonel or whatever. So he was high up in the military, and he was an important, impressive person. And when he comes home, they are impressed that one of their own became this really important military guy, and he joins them for this feast. And they decide that what they're going to do is they're going to not eat the food, and because it's going to suck, and she's terrible, and it's going to be poison, and they're not going to eat it, and they're going to try and pretend like they're there, but they're not going to like the food. They're going to pretend they don't like it. And this guy that is a returning war hero, colonel, general, whatever, he doesn't know about their plan. So when they are sitting there refusing to eat the food that she's made for them. He sits down and he starts eating it, and it's an amazing meal that she has prepared for them. It is absolutely glorious. It is in every ways like the most amazing thing that they could possibly have ever eaten. And she just did it as a simple gesture of thank you for them. And they never accepted her into their village. It's a powerful film. Lots of other stuff. Marius, Fanny, and Cesar is another film series. That one's about a guy that hates the town he lives in and wants to become a... Oh, where are we going? We need to do what? I need to eat is what I need to do. But I need sticks and stuff for the houses. So I need my cart and I need to get hardwood. Got a rope. Thatch. What I need is thatch. Okay. We don't need a cart for thatch. We can carry that much. I don't want to bring the cart. It'd slow me down anyway. Mary's Fantasy Cesar. It's about a guy that wants to go into the Merchant Marines. He sees the ships coming in and out of the harbor every day, and he wants to enter the Merchant Marines. And he's got a girl that he's in love with, and she begs him to stay and begs him to stay and begs him to stay. And one day he finally just jumps onto a ship and leaves. And she ends up finding out she's pregnant, and he has abandoned her and their baby. And then the story goes on from there. It has, you know, the complications of her being a single mother living in France in like 1930. As a single mother, it's not good. And everybody had warned her not to be around this guy. He was bad for her because, you know, he's not going to stick around for you, baby. He's going to abandon you for his dream of being a merchant marine guy. But she didn't listen. She was in love. Not that I need fiber anymore. Grab it anyway. Has some use. So we want thatch this time, so the sticks are gonna actually have to go. I do not want them. We want just thatch. Yeah. Whole series, three movies. The first one, Marius, that's the guy that runs away. Fanny, that's the girl he leaves behind. Cesar, that's their father. That, you know, has been trying to hold the family together while his son is away in the Merchant Marines. 75 days. My inventory is full. Yep, we're headed the right way. When we moved out of the house, all of us kids, my brothers and I, we all called up our mother and said, "Can we get some of Dad's music?" Because we'd grown up hearing it in the background all of our lives. And she's like, "Every one of you has asked the same thing. As soon as you leave the house, can I have some of Dad's music?" Because we missed it. We didn't have it anymore. I grew up with a background of violin music. Like, is there, yes, there's a lot of that. I'll let the people take care of it. I'm gonna call this short. I know it's a short video today, but golly gee willikers, I'm getting hungry, and it is almost 6 o'clock. So let's pause it, let's save it, and let's come back to it later. We are gonna continue going until we die. Yep. See you later. Bye-bye.